The U.S. government shutdown has officially entered day 15, and millions of Americans are feeling its impact. Federal workers without paychecks, closed national parks, delayed home sales, and growing frustration in Washington, D.C. Today, we'll break down what's happening, why it happened, and which regions are most and least affected. This shutdown began on October 1, 2025, when Congress failed to pass a new budget bill. Without approved funding, large parts of the federal government were forced to close. According to the latest data, nearly 900,000 federal employees are currently on furlough, while others are still working, but without pay until funding resumes. Essential services like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security continue to operate because they have separate funding streams. But agencies such as the National Park Service, IRS, and housing programs are severely restricted. Not all regions are hit equally. According to recent analyses by WalletHub and Fox News, the most affected areas are Washington, D.C., home to the highest concentration of federal jobs and contracts; Hawaii, where many residents rely on federal employment and defense-related contracts; and New Mexico, a state heavily dependent on government spending and research labs funded by federal dollars. Because these regions rely directly on government operations, shutdowns immediately hurt local economies. On the other hand, some states are less impacted, mainly those whose economies depend on private industry, agriculture, or energy production. Midwestern and southern states, for example, have fewer federal contracts and can continue daily life with minimal disruption. The shutdown is rippling across key sectors nationwide. In air travel, TSA officers and air traffic controllers are working without pay, leading to fatigue and delays. In housing, the National Flood Insurance Program is suspended, delaying thousands of home sales. Museums and parks like the Smithsonian Museums and the National Zoo are closed. Federal contracts are frozen, with new contracts and payments halted. And the economy is feeling strain, with the Treasury Secretary warning the shutdown is already hurting the U.S. economy and delaying key statistics and reports. So, who's to blame? Congress remains deadlocked between Republicans and Democrats over budget priorities. The Senate has failed to pass a temporary spending measure known as a continuing resolution. Republicans want deeper spending cuts, while Democrats are pushing for expanded health care and social funding. The standoff continues, with no clear sign of resolution. If this shutdown continues, the effects will deepen: delayed paychecks, canceled contracts, and slower economic growth. Federal workers will eventually receive back pay once funding resumes, but small businesses relying on government contracts may never recover. As the standoff drags on, the American public is left waiting for leaders to find common ground and reopen their government. This was your in-depth look at the 2025 U.S. government shutdown, now on day 15. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more global insights.